Well, good evening, everybody. Just want to check in with you, let you know what's going on across the area here as we look down at Gateway Arch. Everything's quiet and settled this evening around St. Louis. It's actually a pretty doggone nice evening. There's a look right now as we head down towards Arnold. We do have a few clouds around, but, you know, we did see some sunshine this afternoon as the morning cloud cover rolled away. And so we're all set for what's going to happen later on tonight. And that's not going to be so pleasant for a lot of folks, especially well to our west. Here's the radar pictures from around our area here the last couple of hours. All quiet. The showers that we had earlier in the morning, they've all pushed to the east. So now we're turning our attention to what you see out here over the plains. And it is quite an impressive line of thunderstorms stretching from parts of Iowa, eastern Nebraska, down into Kansas, down into Oklahoma. Several of those storms producing not only strong winds and large hail, but also some tornadoes as well. We are still fairly mild out ahead of this with temperatures well into the 70s this evening. These are the tornado warnings that are in effect down here into Oklahoma. Farther north, it's been more severe thunderstorm warnings. Notice there's a bit of a break here as we go from Interstate 70 almost to the Kansas-Oklahoma line. We do think that's going to fill in some as we continue through the evening. So just kind of looking at the northern part of this line, a lot of wind here, one tornado warning there that's off to the west of Manhattan. Then we go down farther to the south. You've got a few tornado warnings here down across Oklahoma, but it hasn't been as explosive just yet. This probably is going to be the most explosive area along and north of Oklahoma City in the next couple of hours as these supercells tap into a richer environment. It's more favorable for the severe weather there. So what are we going to do with all of this once it develops tonight and trudges on to the east? That's when it becomes our problem, right? So we have tornado watches in effect all the way from Texas northbound through Kansas, eastern portions of Nebraska, and now all the way up into Des Moines. We're looking at a line of thunderstorms. This is going to evolve into a pretty, lengthy, substantial, almost continuous line of thunderstorms as we go through the overnight hours. For us, around the St. Louis area, the western side of our viewing area, about 2 o'clock, we'll go until about 8 o'clock when those storms press off to the east. Now, they could speed up or slow down just a little bit. Either way, we'll be tracking and sticking with you through the overnight into early tomorrow morning. As far as the threats go, we think some strong winds. Out of some of the strongest storms where they surge out, you'll get some 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. We also might have a brief weak spin up tornado. They wouldn't stay on the ground very long. You're not going to get a whole lot of warning on those, but that's very possible as well because you get all these little surges potentially in the line, and that's where you tend to see that kind of scenario playing out. So here we are between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. We've had a few scattered showers and thunderstorms trying to develop out ahead of the main line. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. The focus out to our west today, the forcing out there and the instability, obviously with the heat of the day, is much better there. By the time these storms get here, it's not quite as warm, it's not quite as unstable, but they still have some of the severe weather ingredients to work with. The question is, do they have enough kind of all in one spot to create the severe storms with this? So we don't want to downplay and discount that chance, even though these storms should be weakening somewhat from what we see during the next 3 or 4 hours. They still have the potential to pack a punch, and some of that could be sliding into St. Charles County as we go towards 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, back down into Franklin County, Washington, back to Union, heading to St. Clair. Farther to the south, you'll see some of those storms from Farmington down towards Fredericktown between 4 and 5, and then they shift into the Metro East, heading towards Edwardsville between 5 and 6, and then all the way over to the Interstate 57 corridor between 6 and 7, 8 o'clock. Now again, the timing on this may speed up or slow down just a little bit, but once that line goes through, that will be it for the severe weather threat from this initial round we see early on Tuesday. Now, as we go into Tuesday afternoon, the front itself is still lagging back. That has to get through. We're thinking any areas that develop showers or thunderstorms Tuesday afternoon are going to be farther east and southeast of St. Louis. But having said that, if for some reason we end up with the sky clearing out and we shoot into the mid, maybe even upper 80s for highs in a few places, then you have a lot more fuel than what you have with this scenario where there's more cloud cover. So then you kind of get into a more explosive situation. That seems to be the least likely scenario for us on Tuesday afternoon. So with that in mind, we're not really worried or focused as much on that. Our big focus is going to be in the wee hours here from 2 a.m. until 8 a.m. And probably for St. Louis, we're narrowing it down to 4 to 6, maybe 3 to 7, something like that. But this is going to be when our best shot at seeing those storms rolling into the metro area will be, and the ones that will have the potential to pack some stronger winds and potentially spin up one of those brief tornadoes. All right, so now let's get out of Tuesday, we go into Wednesday. Look at the severe weather threat Wednesday. This is a level 3 out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center. Covers the entire 5 on your side viewing area. Covers a good chunk of the Ohio Valley, mid-Mississippi Valley too. And this has a potential on Wednesday. And of course, as always, we always say this, there's always things, you got to look with the ingredients, always things that can go wrong. But this has the potential on Wednesday to be a fairly significant severe weather day because there will be more numerous thunderstorms, and the ingredients that form those severe thunderstorms, including some very large hail, some wind gusts 60, 70 miles per hour, and the potential for tornadoes, in addition to those brief spin-up tornadoes, more of the typical supercell tornadoes, certainly possible in the setup that we see playing out right now for Wednesday. Again, we're still a day and a half away from this, but we kind of watch what's going to be happening here. We're mild, we're warming during the day, during the morning hours on Wednesday. We do have a warm front lifting to the north, and we think that's where we'll see these showers and thunderstorms trying to develop north of St. Louis by late morning into the early afternoon hours. They may have a hail threat, and depending on where that warm front actually is and where the winds aloft, what the winds aloft are doing, you know, we can't rule out other severe weather threats too. But then along the main cold front here back to our west, we do think as we head towards 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon here on Wednesday, we're going to see those thunderstorms tend to blossom and become more numerous across our area. Probably moving into St. Louis proper between 4 and 5 o'clock, into the metro east as we go from 4:30 to 5:30, and maybe even a little sooner than that on the northward side of this as this line kind of surges out. So you see it's almost a steady line there, almost a solid line of storms that's pretty wide too, which also means there's the potential that even though these things only last for an hour and a half or 2 hours, we may get another inch or 2 inches or more of rainfall if you're under one of the heavier ones. You know how wet it's been with the last week and a half to 2 weeks of rain, and how much moisture the ground can hold right now, which is 0. The ground is sopping wet. So that could cause some problems in poor drainage areas especially. Not that we're going to have a lot of flash flooding or widespread flash flooding, but poor drainage areas will have problems with this just because it is what it is. You get it raining that hard, that fast, and it causes problems. But also just noticing how that's kind of a wavy line. That also is conducive to those surges of wind, also conducive to the potential of spinning something up. Now, as we get into Wednesday evening, that whole line is being pressed south and southeast of St. Louis. So by Wednesday evening, once that front goes through and those showers and thunderstorms are all to our south and southeast, then our severe weather threat's over on Wednesday. So right now we'll do noon to 8 o'clock, a little larger time frame for our hours where we need to be most concerned on Wednesday. And for the metro area, probably 3, 4, 5 o'clock. But the timing on this is going to change just a little bit for sure. As we get closer, we can start pinpointing it based on what's going on. We're looking tonight, we're kind of watching what's happening back in Oklahoma in trying to see what's going to happen, based on what's going on right now. One thing we can tell you on Wednesday, you can tell how this is set up. All of these bright colors here, the red, once you get into the fuchsia, these are really big time energy. That's the source for these storms, the available energy that's there. Do we tap into it? You can shake your bottle of soda all you want, but if you don't take the lid off of it, it's going to stay in the bottle. But that's essentially what this is. This is the potential energy. Will we be able to tap into that? The answer is probably a fair amount of it, yes. And you see how it increases as we go into Wednesday afternoon with a big focus here across southern Missouri and southern portions of Illinois. And again, this is just one computer model. All of them tend to have something very similar to this, but that's the potential that we're going to really be able to fuel these storms and fuel them well as we head into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. So with that in mind, that means, Wednesday remains a storm alert day. One of those scenarios here where you're going to be paying attention. So we got to get through Tuesday first. Let's get through the overnight hours. We're good until at least 1 a.m. After that, our western counties between 1 and 3. And then in the metro area, probably between 3 and 5, 3 and 6. And then into the metro east between 4 and 7, something like that. So, it's kind of approaching today in St. Louis time. Anthony's in here. He'll be here. Gary Frank will be here. The two of them will keep you company here through the overnight. And we'll be streaming too during the overnight hours to kind of keep you up to speed on what's going on. Thursday and Friday, after we get through Tuesday, most of the rest of the day's done. Wednesday, you'll have your big storms. We're thinking that's during the afternoon hours. Again, they're more widespread. The severe weather potential is actually higher on Wednesday because of the timing coming through during the heat of the afternoon when you have more energy to fuel those thunderstorms. The only good thing happening about Tuesday's system is it's coming through early in the morning when the energy isn't so plentiful. Notice what we do with temperatures here going towards the end of the weekend to the weekend. We back them off a little bit below average for Friday and Saturday, but mainly dry. There may be a couple of spot showers here along about Saturday. We're thinking Mother's Day is going to be okay, but temperatures, they stay a little bit below average here heading into your Mother's Day weekend. And then next week, it looks like we return to slightly above average or at least close to average. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get a break for a few days with this stormy pattern here over the weekend. Can't guarantee how long that's going to last because you see the chance for more showers and thunderstorms back in there by the middle to end of next week. So a lot going on for us overnight tonight. The good news is it's quiet now and it will be through at least midnight. And, we'll be here streaming. Remember, have your phone charged up in case you lose power. As long as you still have the internet or a cell signal, you can get that feed on 5 Plus on KSDK.com. On the KSDK app, and you'll either see the radar or hear us talking about the storms as we go through the wee hours of the morning. Kind of depends on how bad they end up looking. But right now, the greatest threat's going to be easily after 1 o'clock, more likely our western counties 2 to 3, and then in the metro area between 3 and 5, and then 4 to 6, 4 to 7, kind of sliding into the metro east. So that's the latest we have for you tonight. Just thought we'd give you a quick little update here, and you see how the next 10 days evolve. You guys have a good night, stay safe, and we'll keep you updated as always.